My name is Leo Connors, and welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. As usual, I got a very special guest, professional wrestler, the ace, Mike Montero. How you doing, man?
Not bad. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I'm very happy to have you here. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Fall River, Massachusetts.
Okay. When did you first see pro wrestling?
When I was probably 3-4 years old. I mean, my parents were always into it. My grandparents were into it. VHS tapes. My grandfather was always recording whatever it could be.
Right.
They were huge WWF fans, so I'd say my first WrestleMania would probably be WrestleMania 9. I can genuinely remember the feeling of being upset that Brett got robbed when the salt gets thrown in his eyes, because Brett was one of my guys.
Right.
Yeah. Probably my guy back then.
Nice. All right. And you already said your family was into it, but were your friends into it too? Some friends?
As I was growing up, yeah. It was weird. I had a hard time connecting with certain people because I was always kind of closed off. But if I knew you were into wrestling,
Right.
we'd start to kind of chatter about it. You kind of insert yourself into the conversation, and then it's crazy. A lot of my friends who are in the business I grew up with when I was in elementary school.
Right. That's wild. All right. And who's some of your favorites? You said Brett, but did you have any other favorites?
Around that, so when I was growing up around that time as a kid, I say it all the time, if Brett was 1, then 1A was Razor. Our whole household, we loved Razor Ramon.
Nice.
I can remember as I was getting older feeling almost guilty because I was starting to lean towards Shawn Michaels.
Oh,
and Brett was my guy.
yeah.
And Brett was my guy. So I was like, oh man, but I could find myself Shawn Michaels was so entertaining and so charismatic. And then I kind of flipped on Brett at WrestleMania 12 because I totally felt betrayed by Brett throwing his Canadian flag at the fan and being a sore loser at the end. I was like, oh, really? And that was it. Then I flipped and Shawn Michaels was my guy.
Nice. My kids were huge Shawn Michaels fan. One of my favorite pictures, we're all doing the pose.
Oh,
there.
that's awesome.
It's incredible. All right. When did you go to your first show?
Ooh, wow. So it's funny. I think my first show, I was about, I want to say 4.
Yeah.
And in Fall River, WWF came to the Bank Street Armory.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I can't say I can remember the matches.
Right.
What I remember is the blue apron and the blue steps,
right.
The posts, the red, white, and blue ropes. That's what I remember from it. My mother tells the story all the time of that. When the show was over, I was crying in hysterics because I was trying to get over the rail because I wanted to get on those steps and get in there. Yeah, I remember when the show was over.
4 years old. That's wild.
I left with a Razor Ramon merchandise necklace and the Bret Hart glasses. So now I felt like the coolest kid ever. You know what I mean?
That's wild. What about your first indie show? Tell me that you weren't working on it.
No,
because that's happened. Some people said, the first one I went to, I worked.
No, but that was crazy because I didn't know that indie shows were a thing.
Right.
So I remember one of my friends that I started training with, he doesn't wrestle anymore, but my friend Paul, he had said he got tickets to this wrestling show and asked if I wanted to go. And I was like, sure, because his cousin or uncle was a worker at the time. And we were going to go see him.
Right.
And I was like, okay, sure. I thought oh, whoa, his uncle must be in WWF or something like that. And then when we got there, we were at the Boys and Girls Club in Fall River in a gymnasium, and I'm like, okay, what's going on in here? What's this? But I think what drew me though was my first show, the big main event was a 60-man 2-ring battle royal. So there was 2 rings. So when I got there, I was like, whoa, what is this? Because I wasn't a WCW guy, so I wasn't familiar with War Games, so I never really saw 2 rings next to each other before. So that blew my mind. I was in for the 60-man Rumble. Then I think Gilbert was on the show, so we got a Polaroid with Gilbert, and I thought that was the best at the time. Yeah. And then after that, we just kept going to the South Coast Championship Wrestling shows and the Yankee Pro shows.
I was gonna say, was it a Yankee Pro show? I
think it was South Coast.
Okay, all right.
But basically, same idea.
Yeah, because he ran 2 different companies.
Yes.
Right. That's wild. All right. When did you know that wrestling was something you wanted to do?
Okay. So actually, I love telling this is it's 2001 and WrestleMania 17, and the big main event of WrestleMania 17 is Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, and the big story that comes out of that, and a lot of people they kind of bury it in the sense that, oh, Stone Cold, he turned heel, but he wasn't a heel, you know? But as a kid, I bit the fact that he was so willing to become champion. He wanted the title so bad that he was willing to sell his soul to Vince McMahon to become champion. As a kid, I bit that storyline, but that's not what got me. That is the peak moment. You think, like, from the time I was a kid, Brett, all these guys, they made me believe that the WWF title was the be-all, end-all.
Right.
But that's not what stole the show that night. That was TLC 2.
Really?
Seeing the Hardy Boys, the Dudley Boys, and Edge and Christian, what those guys were willing to do for tag team wrestling. When Jeff is hanging from the belts and he takes the spear, that moment is the moment that I decided I wanted to do this, because they made the tag team titles more important. I never, as a kid, I wanted to put that winged eagle over my shoulder like Brett did. But man, when those guys were going, all I wanted was to be partners with my best friend and become tag team champions now.
Nice.
You know, so like that's what made me want to be a wrestler.
That was one of the greatest matches of all time. Those set of matches.
Right, without a doubt.
Incredible.
Without a doubt.
That, and I don't know if you remember, Sergeant Slaughter and Pat Patterson had a boot camp match in Madison Square Garden in the early 80s. Unbelievable. One of my favorite matches of all time. All right, so who trained you?
Okay, so when I first got into the business, it was through independent wrestler Chris Cruz.
Yep.
He saw me and a group of my childhood friends backyard wrestling on the ground in a park, and he came up to us like a stranger and was like, "What are you guys doing?" Kind of like an authority figure, like, "What are you guys doing? Stop doing that!" And we were rebellious teens. And we're like, "Who are you, dude? Like, get out of here!" And he was like, "I actually am trained in like what you guys are doing. You're gonna hurt yourselves. Like."
Wow.
If you want to do this for real, I know a place that you can do it. We didn't really know this guy from a hole in the wall.
Right.
But he had the keys to the castle. He said, I know where you can go get trained. Because that was the thing, was we were backyard wrestling because we thought, because we were kids, we thought, oh, we're going to do this and somebody's going to see us and then we'll find a training school. Not realizing that you could probably just find one, you know what I mean? Yeah. Because we were kids. So he was our in. Didn't know this guy from a hole in the wall, but we jumped in his car.
Nice.
Got in the car, and he took us to Brick House Baker training at the Caroba building in New Bedford.
Yeah. Nice.
After that, it was on. We trained there. I trained with Brick House Baker for a year and a half, I'd say, around there. I would do like little shows, not enough. My first match was in 2007. And I tagged with Devin Blaze against the Hoods, Chris Pyro and Davey Cash. I was 16 years old.
Wow.
I was losing my mind.
I was
terrified. But Chris Cruz, he really was instrumental in a lot of us. Like, he really helped push, like, because when you go to a training, a lot of times you're taught the routine.
Right.
So a lot of times it's easy for guys to all kind of move the same, look the same. When we were done with training, we'd go back to Cruz's house and he would tell us like, hey, you should watch this guy. Right. You should watch that guy. And all the guys that he'd be telling his like group of kids, that his core group of guys, like all the guys that he'd be telling them to watch were all different. Right. So we all learned different mannerisms, and like while we trained the same, we were all individuals.
That's awesome. That's a very smart way to do that. Who else was in the class?
Oh man. When I started, my crew of guys, so Jason Devine, one of my tag team partners, Devin Blaze, Tommy Trainwreck, at the time, Chris Pyro, Davey Cash, Eric Dillon, Kellen Thomas, Anthony Stone.
Wow.
A lot of guys.
Yeah, I know all of them.
Yeah, a lot of guys came in and out of there. And honestly, some of my favorite practices would be when Brick House would be a little late and Anthony Stone or Kellen Thomas would run class. Yeah. And that's one thing I could say is like Anthony Stone is a great performer, but I don't know if he gets enough credit for how great of a trainer he is.
Wow, I did not know. That's awesome.
He's really good to work with.
Yeah, I had him on the show too. I mean, he's a great wrestler, man. I saw him the first time I ever saw him was at Beyond just a few years ago.
Right.
Man, he's really good.
So like after a year and a half of training there, I actually then I went with my same group of friends from high school. We went in Fall River. Paul Lazan opened up a little venue and a training school there. And Dan Freitas, Brian Noon's Pride, they were running the school. So the four of us went and we trained there now. And like that was for about a year, and that's where I really started to get it. Right. Like figure out, okay, now I can put my match, like I was starting to figure out how to put a match together. Right. And then those guys abruptly kind of left and just disappeared.
Yeah, I think they had a falling out.
I have no idea.
I do know that because I had Brian Nunes on and he told me.
So after that, Nick Steele took over and I trained there briefly, but I started getting the bug. I wanted to start and go get booking. So I kind of phased out of that and just started messaging people. And at the time, the tag team feud in this area was the Minutemen and the Hoods.
Oh, yeah.
So I would just hop in the middle seat. So those guys would be booked against each other everywhere, and I would just slip in, and whatever I could get on the card, I would take it, you know?
Nice. That is awesome. All right, fan questions.
Sure.
Travis Mullet Man Hinton. You know Travis?
Yes, I do.
All right. When are you going to come to Vermont? When's he going to book you?
You took the words right out of my mouth. You say the word and I'm there, you know?
Right? Come on, Travis. You can make it happen. He's a good dude, Travis.
Oh, yeah.
Brickhouse Baker. Slaps leg. David Baker. And he's the Mead brother. And I always say this, I hope he doesn't smack me one of these days. Because David's the nice brother, David's the mean brother. That's what I've been told.
Everybody knows it that way. I've known David for just as long. As a matter of fact, when Chris Cruz was that, so I already know where you're going with this. Is he's gonna ask about training in a park?
Yeah. Ask him about learning to wrestle in a park without a ring. LMAO. And if there's anyone I owe one to, it's this guy. What does he owe you? Just stiff up?
No, I just I don't know if he says if he's trying to say that I owe him or the other way around. Yeah. But either way, it's reciprocal because he helped me a lot in my career. When Cruz was there showing us little things, that's what he means. David Baker was there too. When we'd be walking down the street and Cruz would be like, reverse this hold or something randomly in a park, that's what he means. Like he would always show us different things. And then when he was trying to kind of bring revive his career a little bit and come to RWA. RWA is my home, and I pushed for months and months because, like you said, he's the mean brother. Yeah. So for a while, T was standoffish towards him. And when I was the hype champion there, he would ask me like, who would you want to work with this time? And week after week, I would say David Baker, and he'd be like, no, David Baker, no, David Baker, until finally he was like, yes, yeah,
nice. And I'd like to bust balls. All the Bakers are awesome.
Right, they are. They really, really awesome. To all three of them.
I had them all on the show. I felt like I knew them for 20 years after sitting down with them, honestly. All right, Chris Sanders.
All right.
Coach C. Should be a good one. Thank you, buddy. One of the best fans in New England. Jerry Lane. You know Jerry?
Of course.
Jerry's the man. Is there a promotion you have yet to work for that you'd like to?
Ooh, that is a good question.
Because you work for a lot of companies.
That is a good question. I wouldn't say there's a promotion that I haven't worked for that I'd like to work for currently, but there's a promotion that I would like to work for again. And I would say if I had to choose, it would be Limitless Wrestling.
Nice.
Because I was there for like the first 5-6 shows in the beginning. I was the first match that they ever had.
Wow.
Like their first show, me and my partner, we opened.
Right.
So I didn't get to wrestle there as a singles wrestler, and without sounding braggadocious, I'm arguably having the best run of my career right now. So to me, I feel like now is as good a time as ever. So if I had to choose, it would be Limitless.
Excellent. And Randy's doing great things out there, man.
Nothing but love for him.
For a young kid to be able to do what he's doing, that's amazing.
He's a hustler, man.
He really is a hustler. You're right. All right. Jerry said, another one. Someone you've never wrestled that you would like to. Ooh. That's a good question.
That is a good question. Someone that I've never wrestled. That's another thing. Like, man, I've wrestled a lot of people in this area. I looked it up. So I think I'm gonna go with the Amazing Red.
Nice.
Just because like that's a guy I pushed actually a couple of years ago. I wrestled Azrael.
Yep.
And the company that was running, it was kind of like a spot company. So he was just kind of, the guy was a fan, but he was booking what he wanted to see happen. Cool. He asked me who I would like to work that he wouldn't have to fly in.
Right.
And the first guy on my list was Amazing Red, but then it just so happened he was going to do a tour in New Japan and do I think it was the Best of the Super Juniors. I forget what year that was, but then he asked me, well, who else? And I picked Azrael. So yeah, that's a bucket list for me. Is I would love to be tested by somebody like Red.
Nice. Now, you know, House of Glory just came to.
Oh, yeah.
I went to the show, and they're coming back already, so maybe, because I know Red did a seminar with the New England Pro Wrestling Academy students,
yes.
which is fantastic.
Right.
All right. Shooter, Scott Anthony.
Yes.
When did him, I don't know, singing along to his favorite song during car rides start? When did it start, and why did it start?
I've probably done it forever. So my family is pretty musical. My grandfather, he's a Roy Orbison impersonator.
Wow.
So like he worked on cars his whole life.
Wild.
Yeah, it's cool. He worked on cars his whole life, but when he retired, he always sang and played in bands, 50s bands. You know,
Right.
His band was I want to say Mike T and the Majestics. But he was really popular back then.
Yeah.
And once he retired, he just wanted to go play shows. And he slapped on a Roy Orbison wig, put on some shades, and he went out there, and the guy can hit the pitches. Like, his voice is super strong. And like he started getting booked really well in Florida.
Wow.
And I'm like, Pops.
Was this you said in Florida?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm like, Pops, like you get better bookings than I do. What's going on?
Nice.
But then like my mother, same thing. Like, but that's her father. My mother, she's also super talented vocally.
Yep.
My sister, same thing. I'm nowhere near as good as they are, but I just love to sing.
Me
so
too.
like
I
when
do
I'm
too.
when I'm riding in the car, and especially because I'm an overnighter, so like. When I'm coming home, that's my release.
Right.
I've probably been singing in my car forever. I just randomly decided a couple years ago, because I was going through some stuff that it was feeling good to let it out. So I just started like recording them and posting a couple. I've been lazy with it. Every now and then I think like, oh, I'm going to do this and post this content. But I'll be honest, I'm terrible at social media.
So do you do karaoke?
No, that's the thing.
No, you
is, like,
don't?
That's the
'Cause
thing
I
is
do.
like,
I love
that's the thing
karaoke.
is like, I don't know if I can go up there and like, it's weird because I can perform in a ring, but then if somebody hands me a microphone and all these people gotta, I don't know, because what if I'm not good?
Right. No,
And I get
hear ya.
karaoke is just to have fun.
Right.
But I want to be good.
Yeah, no, I hate because I'll only sing certain songs.
Right.
Because if I tried Blaze of Glory one time and I bombed, but yet I could do Wanted Dead or Alive.
Right. I get. See, exactly.
You
like,
know?
I just want to be good. So like,
Right.
if I don't want to risk it.
Next time Talk comes on, I think I'm going to tell him I want to sing with him.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Shooter Still. Where do you see yourself in the next 2 to 3 years?
This is probably gonna shock people, but I see myself in the next 3 years in a more behind the scenes role.
Okay.
So like I said, I had my first independent match where fans paid to come see me do my thing when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
I'm 33 years old.
Okay.
I've been wrestling a really long time.
Yeah.
I've never taken a break.
Right.
This year is the most limited year I've had.
Really?
And I chose that.
Right.
Last year I wrestled almost, I want to say, 58 matches.
Right.
Which isn't the most I've had, but it really took a toll on my body. I think the best way I can describe it is my body is realizing its mortality.
Right.
And I think what I'm aiming for is right now I want to be able to say that I was in this business for 20 years.
Nice.
I
You're
contribute-
almost there.
Exactly. I've been in this year when I finish this year it will be 17. So I just want to be able to say that I had a 20-year run, and because not to be disrespectful, but some people say that,
Right.
but they took
Yeah. They
years
took
off,
2 years off. Yeah.
in between. I've been going nonstop
awesome.
for 17 years. So I just want to keep going. And when it's done, I know I'll have a place in the business somewhere else. As long
Right.
as I can contribute creatively somewhere, my heart's happy.
Now, you said you want to get behind the scenes. Does that mean you want to start a promotion, or you want to just work for a promotion and help out with that, like an agent kind of?
I think anybody who's in the business's dream would be to have their own promotion, but
Right.
I know all the stress and everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
I definitely want to help out in a
Right.
promotion for sure, whether that's I dabbled when in RWA. I took time off there a little bit. I was still wrestling other shows, but I took time off there just to give their fans a breather from me because
Right.
I've been there since day one. I jumped in commentary just to try it out. I fell in love with it.
Nice.
So I think there's something there when I'm done wrestling. I think in a backstage role as far as like helping guys come up with what they do, story wise. Like
Right.
I've been watching wrestling my whole life, and
Yeah.
I've been wrestling basically my whole life. So
Right.
like I got to be able to contribute something, you know?
Have you ever done commentary with Todd Graham?
I have multiple
I was going to
times.
say, he's good
He's
too.
incredible. Honestly, he was really fun to play off of doing commentary. He's probably, I mean, between him and Bobby Rossi, they're probably my favorite partners. Yeah.
Bobby Rossi, I like that kid
he's the
too,
man.
He is awesome. He's been here.
Yeah, man. I've known him forever since he started in the business in 2011. Yeah, because he popped into a door at RWA.
Nice.
Same thing. RWA has this way of people walking in the door one day, showing up, and just never leaving. You know, and Bobby Rossi's one of those guys.
That's awesome. I got to get my ass to an RWA show.
Without a doubt, they're killing it right now.
But Shooter also said, keep killing it in the gym, my friend.
Thank you, Shooter. I appreciate that.
Ryan Andrews, what's been your favorite match so far in 2024? I like Ryan.
Ooh. I would have to say, I forget the name of the show, but it was a Proving Ground show. Not the most recent one. It was a couple shows before that. I wrestled Kellen Thomas for the Proving Ground Championship. And I think it was probably my best in-ring effort, my best in-ring performance. I've never watched one of my matches back and felt more satisfied with what I brought to the table. And Kellen Thomas, he's incredible.
He's a great
right
wrestler.
now, he's doing something there that he doesn't do anywhere else. And I didn't think it was possible. I even said it to Todd. I didn't think it was possible for the audience to hate Kellen Thomas because he's so athletically gifted. And I say it all the time. He could, on any given night, casually, he's the best wrestler on the show. So I didn't think he would be able to pull that hatred out of those fans, but my God, do they hate him. And they wanted to see me beat him so badly. And when I didn't, they felt genuinely robbed. It hit all the beats. It hit all the moments. This year, that's probably my best effort. That's my favorite match in 2024.
And he really is killing it.
Without a doubt. He's one of the best.
Todd Graham, have you had your McDoubles today?
No. I don't eat dirty McDoubles.
So that was like clean. A rib.
Yes.
Kinda. All right. Ben Caccieri. That's how you say his name, right?
Caccieri?
Caccieri, that's what it is. Sorry, Ben. Who has been your favorite opponent so far in your career? Great question, Ben.
My favorite opponent so far. Ooh, that's tough. I'm going to narrow it down to 3.
Okay.
I'd say Kellen Thomas.
Yeah.
Because every time I get in the ring with him, he makes me better.
Right.
Anthony Green.
Yeah.
Same thing. Every time I'm in the ring with him, he makes me better. And he's one of those guys that it doesn't matter where he is. He can be across the world. He could be wrestling here. He's never changed.
Right.
And he's one of those guys for me. And I would have to say Azrael, because I didn't know the guy personally, but I was such a fan of his because, oh man, me and my friends that I trained with, we were such fans of the old school Ring of Honor, and I know you were too. So
I was there.
Yeah, exactly. And I wish I could have been. I was a little too young, but we were such fans of those guys in Special K and
it's my favorite faction of all time.
Me too. So that was it for me. I loved the way that he let me put my art on that canvas out there. He didn't come into it and treat me like I was less than. He brought me to his level, and I didn't feel uncomfortable there. So I would have to say those are the 3 guys.
That's all. Those are 3 good guys, and Azrael is a hell of a guy too, man. And what a worker!
So talented.
Yes, I seen a match him and Eddie Edwards had.
And the thing is, he could work for any promotion on TV right now. I think it's slept on, the fact that that guy grinds every single day. He's training every single day, whether he's lifting weights or doing cardio, or he's in a school bumping around. He's in there every day. The dude's dedicated. Yeah, very dedicated. All right. Well, I wrote down a lot of companies that you worked for, and I'm just going to go over them real quick, get them out of the way. Sure. You worked for Focus Pro, yes,
Fight Life, NCW, RWA, Proving Ground, NRG, EWA, New World Wrestling Extreme, XWA, Test of Strength, UFO, House of Bricks, Blitzkrieg Pro, SPW, 01 USA Northeast, Let's Wrestle, and Limitless, Elkmania, Live Pro at the Black Box.
One of my favorites.
RWE.
Sully Banger.
Yeah, PLW, Beyond, Wrestle Jam, Limitless, and NECW and NEWF. That's a lot of companies, Mike.
Yes, sir.
That you work for.
Yes, sir.
I'm not going to say it because a lot of people will want me to ask, what's your favorite? And that's not a very good question to ask somebody. Because I mean,
Don't put me on the spot like that.
Exactly. My buddy Dave Fournier likes to send questions like that. And I always tell him, Dave, you know, that's a loaded question.
It is, very.
So let's play the name game.
Okay.
You brought him up earlier. Devin Blaze and Tommy Trainwreck.
Two of my best friends.
Minutemen.
Two of my best friends.
Incredible work.
I've known Devin Blaze since I was 5 years old.
Wow, no kidding.
We were in kindergarten together. We started this dream together.
Wow.
He was my first tag team partner. Everything. Like,
wow.
If I had to pick my favorite match ever,
yeah,
it would probably be me and him from WrestleFest NCW 2022.
Wow.
Because WrestleFest is their WrestleMania.
Right.
So to me, I got to go to a promotions WrestleMania and tear the house down. Without a doubt, have the best match on the show with my best friend.
That's awesome.
Tommy Trainwreck, same thing. That dude has gone through so much in his life, and to see him come out of it, and now, man, he took his career and he flipped it with his deathmatch thing, you know, and now he is all over this country.
Yeah. Now, what is he? Did he move to Michigan or something?
He moved to Wisconsin.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. Wow, man. He's a great wrestler. Now, did Devin walk away? Is he
like I don't want to speak for him, but currently, yeah, he's just doing
taking a break.
Yeah, when he still loves this.
Man.
When he wants to do it, he'll be back in the mix. Right now, he's off. You know.
I always thought him and Pyro would be a hell of a tag team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, both about the same size. Yeah. I think it would be incredible.
Yes, that's a dream team right there.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
All right, how about AJ Cruz?
AJ Cruz.
That was a long time ago.
Yes,
when you wrestled him.
I actually remember wrestling him vividly because he tagged with Damian Black.
Okay.
And me and my partner Jason Devine. That was one of our first matches, really starting to get going as a tag team. And I remember Justin Credible was on the show, so he was in the locker room. We were the match to send him to intermission.
Right.
For that time period, I remember rocking the house, and when we went back through, Justin Credible was fired up. He was like, now that's how you send him to intermission. Nice. I was buzzing about that for the whole rest of the night. Like I told you, ECW guy.
Yeah.
Actually, my family is Portuguese, so hilarious enough.
Right.
Aldo Montoya, they loved him in my household.
Right,
so this guy saying that we set it up the right way. I was like, man, I think we're figuring this thing out now, you know?
Yeah, and Justin Credible's a great guy. I've met him many times, and, you know, people have said there's been things that have happened, but he's a different guy, man. He's a great guy.
Always been cool to me.
Yeah, me too. All right, Mark Queen?
Mark Quinn?
That's the one from AEW, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So those guys we know really well because NEFW would bring in a lot of the House of Glory students.
Oh, okay.
And we must have done, in 2013 into 2014, we must have done a million different variations of 5-man scramble, 6-man scramble, 7, and it would involve Mark Quinn, Smiley, Anthony Gangone. And then a few years after that, Isaiah started training.
Isaiah Kennedy.
Cassidy. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn became a team. And then once they were teaming up, because at first it was Quinn and Anthony Gangone one night only. And me and Divine, we had a bunch of matches with them.
Nice.
And then once he started tagging with Quinn, we mixed it up with them at Blitzkrieg. We had an awesome 4-way tag I'll never forget with. It was them, the Tenacious 2, Johnny Miyagi and Scott Wilde.
Okay.
And the Minutemen.
Nice.
And it was awesome. We like I said, we spent a lot of time with those guys. Those guys, same with EYFBO, LAX, Proud and Powerful, whatever.
Great guys.
Those guys, it was so cool to see their action figures come out.
Yeah.
Those were one of those things where I was like, man, I'm looking for those. I gotta have those, you know?
Yeah, I just bought a Carmelo Hayes one.
I got him too.
Did you? I had to get him, man.
Again, I defended the Proven Ground title against him a couple years ago, so that's another one. He's always been cool to me too. One of my guys.
He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
All right, here's a local guy. Great wrestler. I know you know him well. Mike Grasso.
Mike Grasso?
Oh, man.
I have...
Fucking good. I swore again.
He's... He's got such an aura about him. Like, I don't know how to explain it. He found the horror movie, the horror slasher, like that guy. He is that brought to life. You know what I mean? But like somehow he brings that horror and that violence to the ring, but he also pulls these people to him. Like the crowd is so invested in him.
Right.
But the thing is, it's always been that way. When he started wrestling in like 2011, the kids, they gravitated to his green mohawk right away. And he's always been on. It was really sad when he left for a little while because it felt like in our area a dent was kind of there, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember he just came back to Proving Ground out of nowhere, and like I remember he was feeling down about his confidence and wanted to come back, and I was like, dude, like you're one of the best in this area. Like don't sell yourself short. You know what I mean? Like
you're right though. His presence when he comes out with the mask and everything.
It's unreal, that's the price of admission in itself. You know what I mean?
It really is.
Like I have, and to peel it back more, I have so much love for his father.
Oh yeah.
His mother. His mother cuts my hair. Like they're good to me. Like that's cool. Good people. You know. I got nothing but love for Grasso.
I got to get him on the show here too. How about Nick Marchand?
Nick Marchand. Cool. This is cool. So in RWA, the Chop Shop was popping. That was when Beyond Wrestling would use it for the secret shows as well in Oneyville and Providence. So right around the corner from Fat Music. So like it was popping. All the shows were crazy. We were killing it. But then the building got shut down.
Wow. Okay.
We had to move to a different place.
Yeah.
It was kind of a hole in the wall. It didn't have the same vibe. I can understand like a lot of the guys that were on the tippy top of the card. They were killing it. They didn't want to go back to going into a hole in the wall.
Right.
And I just got the ball in RWA, and when I got the ball, suddenly all the players are gone.
Wow.
And now I have to create with who's there. I have to create a formidable opponent for me.
Right.
And that was Nick Marchand. Nick Marchand in RWA lore, he's the Batman to my the other way around. He's the Joker to my Batman.
Right.
You know.
That's wild.
So another one, like I think you're gonna see more of him now because the kid is so multi-talented. He plays football, he's in a band, he's a magician, he's a wrestler, like he's so multi-talented. I think you're gonna see more of him wrestling now, and I think people are gonna start to see just how good he is, because he's another guy, man. He'll casually show up and steal the show.
Nice. Awesome. How about Triple-licious?
Triple-licious. He's the man.
Yeah, he is.
One of the first guys when I started, and I didn't really like I told you, I would sit in the middle seat all the time.
Right.
He was a guy who was always cool to me, a guy who didn't make me feel like a jabroni for like just starting out and not being on the level as those guys. He was a guy that I say this all the time. If I can leave my mark in New England, I'll be satisfied. And what I mean by that is when I'm done, I can be on the list of when you're sitting here talking and you're like, man, some of the best in the New England. In my opinion, Triple-licious is on that list. Kellen Thomas is on that list. So I would say, like, if I can be on the list with those guys, that's the measuring stick for me. In my opinion, Triple-licious is one of the measuring sticks in New England.
No doubt. And he's, just so you know, he's first episode to get 1,000 views on this show. Him and Christy Casanova.
Wow.
My old producer opened up on a Sunday. It was
kidding.
Literally 2 years in the making, and finally it happened, man. It was awesome.
I love them as a crew too.
Yeah, I actually wanted to see them go together.
That was a great acting chaos for sure.
All right, how about Ricky Medeiros?
One of my best friends.
I know. One
of my best friends. Probably one of the strongest people I know in life. In general, he's so dedicated. He wants to work. He works hard. Another guy that, like, if I was half as athletically gifted as he is, maybe my career would have taken off sooner.
Right.
Not to say that in a negative way on myself, but I mean, like, he hasn't even scratched the surface of how good he's going to become if he chooses to do so.
Right. Now, there's 4 of these in the
Dirt City
Murder Crew. And it's Jason.
Yes.
You, Ricky, and who's the...
Jamie Tucker.
Jamie Tucker, yes. He's on the show for the we're going to say clowns again, for the Mac Attack.
Yes, he is.
He's taking on his brother.
Yes,
who
I know.
heard is a dirtbag.
Oh, yeah. He's the dirtiest of the dirty.
Awesome. All right. How about a real good guy, Insane Dick Lane?
You said it. He is a really good dude. Another guy who doesn't get enough credit for how good he is at actually wrestling because he's so hilarious and his act is comedic and he has fun out there. But man, on any given night, he's so good in the ring.
Yeah.
I've had some of my favorite matches against Dick Lane.
Nice. And he really talks like that.
Yeah.
In real life.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Oh yeah.
That was funny. And another guy that I've had on the show, Sean Leda. Like him a lot too.
Probably a guy who matches me hold for hold
Nice.
in the ring. A guy that whenever I wrestle him, I feel like I'm wrestling myself.
Yeah.
Again, I've known him.
wild.
I've known him forever. He was one of my best friends. Like when we started in this thing in RWA, because RWA's brought so many different cats together.
Right.
And we can take with us forever that Proving Ground's first live show main event was myself and Sean.
Nice.
We've done it 3 times there. I feel like our feud, our storyline helped put Proving Ground on the map.
Nice. I got to get him back in here too. We've talked about him on air and off air. Guy I like a lot, and you do too. Todd Graham.
I think there's a lot I can say about Todd. He does a lot for me professionally.
Nice.
Personally, he, like, as far as professionally, my t-shirts, he creates my designs.
Does he? Yeah.
He's
so.
He helps me get my stuff out there. He's
Right.
the one who pushes out my action figures. He's the one who put me on the magazine cover. I think it hits home because RWA is my home.
Right.
I love them. I've had a great career there. It goes up and down there. I love it there.
Right.
Proving Ground, I think, revived my career at a time where it was on the low.
Okay.
Because Todd Graham saw me as his star player.
Right.
And he immediately ran with me and he gave me the ball and he didn't look back. And
Right.
I owe a lot to him for that because the reason that all those I feel like nowadays these more current promotions on that list you saw
Right.
is because of the work that I did in Proving Ground because he promoted me and he carried me like a star.
Yep.
Like to this day, even when I just watched my most recent match there and on commentary they're saying like, oh, his star pupil but versus his biggest star in the company and that's the way he treats me.
Right.
And if you don't earn it, you don't earn it. That's one thing, but I've earned it. So like I've earned it. That's my spot. So like I appreciate the fact that he also appreciates that. And he goes overtime for me.
Yeah, that's nice. Him and you know GK Durant?
Yes. Yeah.
Those two guys are so helpful. If they come up to a show, they can do anything. They can ref, they can ring announce, they can wrestle if you need
Yes, when I first met GK was at
Commentary.
those NEFW shows back in the day. Ring announcing.
You know? Todd's a very creative guy.
Without a doubt.
No doubt. All
Yes.
right. Derek Conway.
Derek Conway. Derek Conway, he's funny. I don't know how he's gonna feel about me saying this, but the first time we wrestled each other, he was like really, really nervous.
Yeah.
And he made it feel like he was wrestling a name. And I remember he says to me, he goes, "Oh man, I'm back here like I'm losing my mind. Like I'm on the edge of my seat." And meanwhile, he's just got his feet kicked up and he's chilling like it's no thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we're on the same show.
Right.
Like we're on the same level.
Yeah.
Like if you think like that, you're not gonna perform at your best. Like I remember that vividly, and I like that match of the ones that we had together. The first one we had, I think I like it the most because I think those words brought a fire out of him.
Right.
And I think Conway is a guy who's just waiting to let that fire out of him.
Nice. And what a great dude, too.
He is.
I mean, he really is. How about his better half? Delilah Hayden. Sorry.
Again,
Derek, but
super creative.
Yeah, she
super
is.
creative. You'll see her in the locker room, and she'll be making her own merch, sewing up her own puppets and things for people to buy. Like that's one thing, man. Her hustle
Right.
is crazy with the cosplaying and the like the what's it called? Like the festivals that they set up their tables at,
Right.
man. She stays grinding.
Yeah, she is awesome.
Yeah.
Great people. Guy that was in here a couple weeks ago, you wrestled him quite a few times, Joey Warner.
Joey Warner again.
With that nice beard he's got there.
Yeah, man, that thing's serious. I'll say I'm glad he decided to come back because I guess he was because Todd, like my crew of guys, core crew,
Right.
Todd had his core crew.
Right.
Joey Warner is a part of that crew, but he disappeared for a little bit. He
Yeah.
took some time off and he came back. And I can say that I'm so glad that he came back because he's such an asset to the locker room itself.
Right.
In ring, I think you're gonna see like improving ground, and hopefully in more places people start to realize his potential and his talent. Not just there, but the fact that like, man,
Right.
sometimes I'll be honest, sometimes he'll be one of the only guys breaking down Todd's ring. You know what
Really?
I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's one of those guys,
Yeah,
like
dedicated,
much
man.
like Stephen Lust. He's one of those guys who's the first one there and the last one to
Yeah,
leave.
yeah. You said him, Stephen Lust. I have him written down here, so.
One of my best friends. I have
From Lowell.
I have
I'm
yes
from
he is.
Lowell.
Yes he is. I have so much respect for Steve because he's so genuinely such a good guy
Yeah.
and he helps out on everybody's show. He is so dedicated. He just wants to be respected. He just wants so badly to prove his worth and make his mark in a respectful way, you know?
And I think he's having his best runs right now. Right now.
Without a doubt. I tell him all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, you do realize like that you're on a run right now.
Yeah.
Like it's not done. It's still going,
Right.
buddy. Like this thing is going. Like ride this thing out for as long as you can.
Yep. He is a great dude. I seen you wrestle Ricky Smokes.
Yes, I have.
I'm impressed by that kid.
So
I
am I.
really am.
He's very young.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. When I wrestled him, I didn't realize that he was like 23 years old.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm running into now. Is like
Right.
I'm not old, but all these guys are way younger than I am.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like that was one thing. Is like, man, he was so like intense.
Yeah. He
wrestling
looks
him.
like an intense
Yes,
dude.
he was so intense, but he brought it out of me, and I had to work harder to wrestle
Right.
him. I think within the next couple of years, you're going to see him on TV.
Nice. How about us? Is sometimes tag team partner and beyond Brad Baylor, another young new kid. You know Brad?
Oh, I've seen a little bit. I can't say I'm too familiar with his work, but again, he's got a good look, good
Young
physique.
kid too. I think
and
he's only 19.
see, that's crazy. That's crazy.
He's good.
Just got a ways to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, how about BMT? Brandon Michael Thomas. So Thomas or Tom? Yeah, Thomas.
Yeah. When I started working shows and showing face, he was doing Chikara, and he was doing, when he would be doing local shows, he would go to the Fairhaven VFW, where
Right.
NRG mostly runs now.
Yeah.
At the time, it was ACW. And I would sit in the front row, and he was one of the guys that I would love to watch. And then I'd say, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years later, when NRG started running, he was there at the first show.
Nice.
And I was tagging with Ricky, and when it was over, he came to talk to us, and like just to have him come over and give us any kind of advice was
Right.
like, oh man, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize he was coming back. So then once he started getting back into the mix, I was like, man, like I really would like to work with this guy.
Right.
And then we got to do a feud at NRG that culminated in a cage match.
Nice.
And I learned so much from him. And if there's one thing I can say, it's like he is so helpful to every single person in the locker
awesome.
room. He offers, because he was there back in the day. He's also shared the locker room and wrestled some of the best in the
Yeah.
world. So he has a plethora of experience and a
Right.
plethora of knowledge. And unlike some guys who just keep it to themselves, he's really willing to give it.
That's awesome. And now his better half, Ariel.
I'll tell you this story. I've told
All right.
I've told her before. So remember, I told you I used to go to the South Coast shows
Yep.
and the YPW shows. The first show I went to, it was the second. The second show we went to, we took Polaroid pictures, and Ariel was on the show, and I had a foam replica tag team belt
Yep.
that I had her sign.
Nice.
So my mother recently moved going through the move, she forced me to take all my childhood toys and stuff, and because it's all the wrestling stuff, I couldn't throw any of it away. All my loose figures, all my foam belts, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going through, and I looked through it, and I found the one. It had all these like local wrestlers signed it, and I found her signature on it. So after we wrestled each other, because we wrestled each other at NRG, when it was done, I didn't want to tell her before the match. Like, I wanted to wait till it was done, because like if it sucked, then I didn't really want to bring it up.
Yeah.
But we killed it. So when it was done, I was like, I just want you to know, like, some of my first shows, like I was like 10 years old when I first saw you wrestle. So this came full circle for me, and I showed her like a picture of the belt with her signature on it. And it was just such a cool, like, come full circle moment.
That's awesome. And in between the two of them, they got a basketball team
I know.
with the sixth man.
And they all seem to love wrestling. So like their lineage is gonna go on for a long time.
That's awesome, though. I really think that's awesome. How about Eric Dillon?
Eric Dillon, one of the most unique characters in this area. Again, another guy, very good friend of mine. I think it's hard to say, because he's just so creative. He's so out there, but he's such a genuinely good person.
Right.
Genuinely good person.
He's been on the show a couple times.
And I creatively, like, artistically, I've borrowed from him, and I've told him, like, like, as far as like color schemes for gear and like ideas, and like, like a lot of people would say like we kind of resemble each other, because we got like the long hair grunge look going on, minus all the tattoos and stuff. Right, you know what I mean? But like, Eric he's a very good dude. He really is.
He is a good dude.
I'd like to see more of him.
Yeah, he's gonna be coming on again. He thought we had heat, and I'm like, how could I have heat with you? You're a good dude.
But that's what I mean. He's so genuinely good. Like he's always concerned.
Right.
Because he's another one, like, as I got in when I was 16, he was probably like 13 years old when he started. You know? He's been around the business his whole life.
Yeah. How about one of his best friends and sometimes tag team partner, Scott Levesque?
I've told him this too. If I could be any wrestler, the prototypical wrestler, it would be Scott Levesque. Scott Levesque to me, he's WWE made.
Right.
He's in good shape.
Yep.
He's not super tall, but he's tall.
No, he's got size.
Right, he's got size. He can talk on the microphone, and he's an incredible worker.
Yeah, he is.
You know, so I've been lucky enough to wrestle him so many times.
That's awesome.
And every time he's another guy, like, if I can kill it with him out there, if I can do it, like, I feel good about myself when it's done, because I respected him so much. He was a guy that, like I said, I'm not big, but I always wanted to be big.
Right.
So like when I saw him out there, I would always say, like, man, if I could do what you do, if I could be that, man, I'd be set. You know?
Nice. Now I'm gonna bring up a couple tag teams that I know you've taken on.
Sure.
The Juicy Product.
The Juicy Product.
JT Dunn and David Starr, who's no longer in the wrestling business.
JT Dunn, another guy who was
incredible,
very instrumental in the early part of my career. He really helped me out. He helped me branch out to promotions. He got me matches that I wouldn't otherwise get, because he knew at the time that I had earned them.
Right.
He's another guy that probably one of my best opponents like I've ever been in the ring with. He brought me to a level that I didn't know I could reach. As far as the tag team, that was awesome, because at the time they were the FIP tag team champions.
They were a great team.
And they put the titles on the line in the match. So like, I can say that me and my partner have competed for the FIP tag team titles, which you should know was at the time a sister promotion to ROH. So like, that to me was a big deal when it happened, you know?
Nice. How about Milk Chocolate, Brandon Watson, Randy Summers?
Oh man, we mixed it up a little bit with those guys because we had like a small little run. I would say beyond when we had our small little run there doing the studio taping shows and the secret shows and stuff, like their rise happened so quickly that like they were immediately like 1 minute it was like mostly local talent and a few names, and almost immediately it flipped and was the other way around. So like that, what I can remember about those guys is they were two guys who were in one of the many teams who were scratching and clawing and beyond to be recognized. You know,
there was a lot of tag teams back then. I want to bring up a guy, Robbie the Giant.
Robbie the Giant. Help me. He helped me in training. He was at the school when I trained with Dan Freitas and Brian Nunes. He was in the class.
Right.
So I trained a lot with Robbie, and he helped me with footwork, little things like that. I don't even think he even realizes how much he's helped me. But yeah, another dude I got a lot of respect for, and I very much enjoy going to Bristol for NCW at their VFW and seeing he's the draw there.
Yeah,
seeing the people come for Rob the Giant. Yes, it's awesome.
That is awesome. I know he was tag teaming with Dr. Heresy a little bit in NCW.
Yes.
That's another guy I love. How about Team Friendship? Mark Sherman and Scotty Slade, which was a great team.
Mark Sherman is absolutely crazy.
And unreal.
Out of his mind.
So
but I love
goofy
him. I
inside.
loved him.
That's what I loved
He was
about
so
him, though. Yeah.
Scotty Slade, also really cool dude.
Yes.
Always offered like good advice.
Yeah.
We didn't wrestle them often. We had like a one and done with the 4-way tag, but it was awesome working with those guys. Scotty Slade is super helpful to this area to this day. I'm glad to see that he's still around and that he's still going because super talented. One of the guys that when I first started wrestling, I used to watch for microphone, like cutting promos because like
he's great on the mic.
That's one thing is like you can't be the guy in a promotion if you can't walk the walk and talk the talk. So like once I started feeling like I was comfortable like with my matches, then I started paying attention to guys for how they talk, you know?
Right.
And to me, he was a great talker.
And he's a great dad.
Oh yeah.
He'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
He thinks he's the best dad, but I've been a dad a lot longer than him.
I think every dad thinks they're the best dad though.
But he's a good dad.
Yes.
He is. And a great talent in the ring.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Incredible on the microphone. EYFBO, Angel Ortiz, Mike Drasnik.
So I discovered those guys like my core group of friends were wrestling in the backyard. Those dudes were wrestling for this. Oh man. It was like it's got a cult following to this day. This backyard. So actually, it's not even a backyard. It was a schoolyard wrestling promotion called 2KW in like I want to say like Brooklyn in New York. And like these dudes would go to this schoolyard with AstroTurf and they would go hard. I'm talking like real deal, like superplexing each other off of playgrounds. But all these dudes were athletic and so rugged. We would like kind of, when I was in RWA, T would kind of like message back and forth with the guy who kind of ran their deal.
Yeah.
And those guys set up a deal where they came to come wrestle in a ring for the first time. So I don't know if it's the exact first time, but probably one of their very first times in a wrestling ring was with us at RWA. So
that's wild.
I've known those guys literally since like 2007, 2008. So like I said, when their figures came out, it was like, oh my God, this is awesome because those dudes earned every bit of it.
They certainly did.
Every bit of it.
And I didn't know if you had any matches with them, but if I'm going to bring up them, I got to say Homicide.
No, I've never had a match with Homicide, but I will say, I'm not going to say who, but I did a seminar that I felt like I got my money taken from me. Really? I didn't feel like I got my money's worth. But what I took from it was that Homicide, who didn't put on the seminar, was the one who gave me critique, was the one who gave me advice, was the one who gave me something I could drive 6 hours back home and actually take something home with me 6 hours. He was the one.
And that's awesome because he's helped so many guys in New York.
I know.
Honestly.
I know. He's like one of the godfathers of New York at this point.
Yeah, he is. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want to ruin his thing, but he's a freaking nice guy. He loves my grandson.
He was super cool.
Him.
He was like I said. And the thing is, he just showed up. He wasn't even. He was just in the area. He just walked into the building. He didn't have to give us anything. And like he pulled us aside and he actually gave us critique.
That's the type of guy he is.
You know?
He only wants to make wrestling better, and then wrestle is better.
Exactly, and that's the way it should be. Is to leave it better than when you found it.
Yep, and it's a shame that person did that. That they didn't give a good seminar. Really, it's sad. Dirty Dango. I know you wrestled him.
So I think Dirty Dango. So when I met him, I felt like he reminded me very much of Eric Dillon, like creatively, the way he thinks, the way he projects himself, the way he carries himself. Like he was out there. He's unique.
Yeah.
Very unique
dude.
But I love his like Yeah, I don't care. I can tear the house down, whatever. Like, I don't care. I'm gonna do it. Like, he's so like nonchalant,
Right.
And I can tell he's having fun right now. You know.
All right, and another good dad, Heath. I remember
He's got
Brock Lesnar
kids.
saying, "I don't care about your kids."
He's
That wasn't
got
very
kids. Heath, another really cool, like I said, that was such a cool learning experience for us. I'll tell you a funny story. Is when it was over, he kept calling me kid, right? And he asks us both, myself and Jamie, like, how old are you guys?
Yeah.
And Jamie's like, oh, well, I'm 27. And he's like, oh, okay. And he asked me, how old are you, kid? I'm like, I'm 33. He goes, God dang, I didn't realize, like, he almost felt like he was disrespecting me because he was, and I was like, nah, man, like, I trained in martial arts. So, like,
Oh, cool.
that went, when I was a kid, like, well, I trained from 10 to 21. So, like, rank was based off of your belt.
Right.
So, like, I had, as a 12-year-old kid, I had 60-year-old men calling me sir.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, it was more of a rank thing. So,
Right.
like, you're calling me kid. I took that as your world traveled, you're
Right.
TV ready, TV talented. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, that's you. Like, I took that as when I was calling him sir, I took that as a, you know,
Right.
it's just a term of respect.
I think he's so underrated. Seriously.
He was awesome.
Yeah, I believe
He was
it.
awesome.
I believe it. How about Elle Valentine?
I said it after our match at Proving Ground. She's special.
Yeah.
She has the it factor.
Right.
Like something that some of us wish we were born with. Like, it's a charisma that
Yeah.
you just can't teach, and she's really good in the ring. I think if she chooses to grind and pursue this and really make a go of it, she's another one. Like I had said about Ricky Smokes,
Right.
you could see her signed, man.
Oh,
I think,
easily.
I think like she's still so new. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much more time ahead of her if she chooses to
Right.
to take it. Do you know what I mean?
I do. Mike, do you have anything you want to plug? Any upcoming show?
Yeah,
Anything?
actually, this Friday I'm gonna be wrestling in Skowhegan, Maine.
Okay.
I'm gonna be wrestling for Maine Premier Wrestling.
Nice.
And myself and Jason Devine, we're taking on their tag team champions for the championships.
Nice.
And the next day, I have probably one of the biggest matches of my career. I'm taking on Kellen Thomas, loser leaves town, Proving Ground.
That's awesome. Gonna be a great match.
I'm looking forward to
Mike,
it.
thanks for coming on. I
It was a
appreciate
blast.
it, man.
Thank you.
Guys, we're out. Peace. Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Listen, I could use a little help to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe. That's most importantly, subscribe. Send me a direct message, and I'll give you a shout out here on the show. My YouTube channel is real simple. It's just my name, Leo Connors. Thanks in advance. Peace.